much a man's story. There's an endless stream of books and exhibitions about artists like Van Gogh, Picasso, or Matisse, but many of us would struggle to name even one of their trailblazing female colleagues. Author and Paris Muse guide Dr. Lauren Jimerson is trying to change that by telling stories that give women artists their rightful place in history, and she joins me now on set. Welcome, Lauren.
Thank you, Jeannie. It's an honor to be here today.
So can you tell me a bit about your recent book, which is called Painting Her Pleasure, and how it contributes to the contributions of these remarkable women?
Absolutely. So this book is all about the lives and art of three women, Suzanne Valadon, Emily Charmy, and Marie Vassiliev. All of them were active in Paris before and after World War I. And what do they share in common? They painted the nude in a bold and daring way. Why is this important? Well, the history of art tells us that male artists were the dominant figures, especially during the key avant-garde movement in the early 20th century in Paris. And the nude was a subject that was very important for them to assert their innovation and agency. So here we have an example of three artists, three female artists in this case, who are doing just that. And that is really dismantling the myth that it was male artists solely who advanced modern art. In fact, there were women who are part of the story too.
All right, so today we're going to focus on the first of these three women. Her name is Suzanne Valadon. Just start by telling us a bit more about who she was.
Absolutely. So Suzanne Valadon was born in 1865 in a very small town outside of Limoges. She moves to Paris with her mother as a child, and they lived in Montmartre, where she grew up. And she stumbled upon the models market, not fashion models, but artist models. And she, the story goes, whether it's true or not, was the first artist to pick her out was Puvis de Chavannes. So she modeled for Puvis de Chavannes, for Renoir, for Toulouse-Lautrec, and then she made this amazing transformation where she became an artist in her own right. And we're looking at a very early self-portrait, one of the first works that we have that she ever made. So self-portraiture was very important for her from the very start. And you can see her studio today, which is on Rue Courtauld in Montmartre. So this is where she lived and worked, and it's just been renovated. And so it's a beautiful place to visit. She's been forgotten for half a century, and now she's receiving the attention that she deserves with international exhibitions at the Pompidou in Metz, at the Barnes Foundation in Philadelphia, and then in my book, Painting Her Pleasure.
So tell us a bit more about her story. I mean, I imagine for the day it was very difficult to go from being an artist model to an artist. How did she do that?
This is really, one might say, an impossible transition, but she was very smart by learning, by watching the artists paint her as she posed. So she was able to gain a lot of experience and knowledge without ever going to art school, without ever really having any formal training at all. She observed artists directly painting her, and then she became familiar with this artistic process of how we transform the naked body into a work of art, into an idealized nude. And then she's going to go on and dare to defy this very practice. So in her work, she's going to display bodies that are not idealized, that are awkward and in distorted poses. And so you can see she completely overturns the practice that she learned through becoming a model herself.
So how did she go about actually challenging that traditional portrayal of the feminine figure of the time?
Absolutely. So she was certainly aware of art history, and there's a wonderful painting that she did, which is just behind me here, called La Chambre Bleue, or the Blue Room. And this painting is quite a statement. This is a bold statement for an artist who is really coming out there and saying, this is a new kind of woman. We have a woman who has books at the end of the bed. She is sunburnt. She is not dolled up and made to look attractive with all the makeup. She is smoking a cigarette. This is such a statement. Her striped trousers, I mean, that was new for women. Women didn't go around wearing pants in 1923. So this is a phenomenal statement by a woman artist to make here. And so again and again with paintings like this and so many others, Valadon really was rebelling against the norms she observed as a model herself, and she portrayed women as autonomous and complex individuals, as we see here.
What other kind of models did she paint?
So she painted a lot of different models. She did not limit herself to female models. She also painted bodies of different ages, races, and genders. And so here we have a fantastic painting, which has long been in a small museum in Menton. And this was painted in 1919. It is truly a pioneering portrayal of a Black female nude, because unlike the Black figures that are portrayed in art at this time in a geometricized or primitivized way, here Valadon is showing a Black female figure who is elegant, who is portrayed in a classical pose, who has agency. Although that agency is a little bit undermined because she didn't give her model a name. And there's been a lot of research to determine who exactly this model was, but we can't know just for now.
Lauren, we just have a minute left. What are some final
Absolutely.
thoughts on Suzanne Valadon?
So Suzanne Valadon is an artist who really shows how women were an integral part of the avant-garde. We cannot ignore them. It's time for them to take their place in the art history books, in the art history classrooms. And I invite you to go and see her amazing studio in Musée de Montmartre, to see these exhibitions. Her work is being shown around the world, and to read my book, of course, Painting Her Pleasure. But it's really quite a statement about women and their defiance and their importance within the history of modern art and within the tradition of the nude as well.
Lauren, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about Suzanne Valadon. We will have you back on the show very shortly to talk about some of the other artists in your book. And don't forget, if you want to go on an incredible art history tour with Lauren or one of the other incredible guides, you can always check out parismuse.com.
Thank you so much, Jeannie.
Don't go away. I'll be back in just a few minutes with more.